D&D players know when something's off, even when they can't explain why. And after over 20 years as a DM, I've realized it's often because of 7 invisible forces shaping every session that most DMs never realize even exist. But what if I told you that once you understand these forces, you can create the kind of sessions players discuss for days? Hey, what if we create a distraction at the front gates while we sneak around back? Well, you can certainly...
Or we could use that secret tunnel we found.
Oh, right.
The tunnel.
Yeah, sure. All good options. So, which one are you trying? Let's go with the distraction plan, though. Okay? The warrior has spoken. Right. So, Gabriel, you pick up a big stone on the floor. And...
What was that?
What was that? The sentinel hears the heavy rock and immediately abandons their post to see what's wrong.
It's working.
You sneak around and you find yourself in the guard room.
Cool. So where do we go from there?
You see a door to the front courtyard, stairs down to the basement tunnel, and a window facing the wall.
Wait. Which wall?
You know, the wall?
The one we could have climbed wall.
Yeah?
Did we just pick our entrance to the same room?
Yup. Players can very easily sense whether a choice is real or an illusion, even when they can't explain how. And this is the first mistake a lot of DMs make, the illusion of choice. When every option leads to the same outcome, you're not respecting player agency. You're providing the appearance of agency. And players feel that difference in their gut. It's a common problem. But what if the solution was easier than you thought?
Let's create a distraction at the front gate.
Loud and proud.
Like it.
What?
Not everything you say is dumb.
Right. So, what's the distraction gonna be?
How about...
Wait, what'd you do?
Fire!
You set fire to the building.
It's D&D, okay? They'll conjure water or something.
You hear shouting from the courtyard as guards rush toward the burning tower. Okay, cool.
Are there still guards at the front entrance?
Just one. But he is alert now. Frankly, he seems a little scared. Oh, and he's got a set of keys.
Oh. Keys?
I want those keys.
Obviously. Question is, do we try to take them quietly, or do we just rush him? Or apparently set him on fire?
Yeah, please don't.
Can we see what's on the keyring from here?
Players can feel when their decisions actually matter to the story's direction. Real agency means different choices actually create meaningfully different outcomes, not just different paths to identical results. Respecting player agency does make the game a bit more chaotic, although we'll address this later in the video. But it also makes it way more fun. So here's how I suggest you avoid this first trap. For each important situation, prepare 3 different types of outcomes. Social? It can be reputation, relationships, or information. Tactical? Resources, position, or allies. And narrative. So, new problems, opportunities, or revelations. When players make any choice, it becomes way easier to instantly pull from whichever category best fits their approach. Diplomacy might create social consequences, stealth creates tactical ones, and direct confrontation creates narrative complications. Then, when you work on story elements, try to focus on flexibility, so that they can bend to fit different player choices. For example, instead of "they must meet the informant in the tavern," prep they could learn about the smuggling operation. Now, that information can come from interrogating guards, befriending dock workers, or overhearing conversations. The story stretches to match their approach. And then, for every major choice point, spend 5 minutes asking, what if they do the opposite? If you expect stealth, what happens if they, don't choose stealth? If you expect negotiation, or what if they attack? Having those opposite reactions ready means it's gonna be much harder to catch you completely off guard. Okay, so cool. First trap, avoided. But here's the thing. That first agency mistake also connects to another problem. Something that happens in players' minds when they take risks. I want to convince the guard that we are here on official business.
Well, we kind of are.
You are? We're not.
But
anyway, I show him my sword and say, Captain's orders. Prisoner inspection.
That works.
I mean, you could. I might have to roll for... Doesn't work. Told you. What, I don't even get a roll?
Nope.
Why?
Yeah, why?
You only roll when chance is involved, and he sees through it, immediately.
Oh, come on.
Roll for initiative, please.
I guess you won't be attacking first either.
Note to self.
Don't think outside the box.
Yeah, just skip to the part where you just fail your initiative roll. Remember how players felt like choice was an illusion and how it killed their enthusiasm earlier? Here, it's not about several options leading to the same place, but any option failing arbitrarily. Consequences are cool, but there's a difference between consequence and unfair punishment that players identify immediately. When creative attempts get rewarded with dead ends, players stop taking creative risks, and it makes the campaign boring fast. But what if
I want to try and convince the guard that we're here on official business?
Well, we're not, so
Yeah, it's called bluffing.
what'd you say? Captain's orders. Prisoner inspection.
That will never...
Roll deception.
4.
He squints at you suspiciously and says,
What, Captain? I don't recognize you. Let's see how you do now, okay?
Come on. What do you say?
Help me? Captain Morrison?
Captain Morrison.
From the Eastern Gates?
Roll again. But with disadvantage. You're digging deeper.
Come on. The world is watching.
Failure can become fuel for more story instead of a dead end. Quite often, these are even the moments everyone remembers years later, and they play an important role. Players need to know that taking risks won't result in emotional punishment. Failed rolls should complicate the situation in interesting ways, not slam doors shut. And when it's done properly, failing becomes as fun as succeeding. So, to make it feel both safe and interesting, I suggest that when a player fails, you immediately ask yourself, what new problem does this create? Instead of, how do I punish this failure? Start by shifting your mindset from punishment to complication. Then frame the failure as an opportunity, not as, well, simply failure. Try, that doesn't work, but now you notice. Or you fail, which means it works kind of like yes and, the classic piece of improv advice, but with a twist. Point is, always follow failure with new information or opportunities. And then let players respond to this new situation before moving to consequences or damage. Give players a bit of time to go over how they handle the complications their failure created. This really helps transform failure from punishment into collaborative storytelling. In a sense, this is all about emotional safety, but it goes deeper than just failure. A lot of D&D players are very passionate about the game and their characters, so when they're about to experience powerful moments, it's easy to make it go terribly wrong. I'm scared.
Sorry, who is this?
As your eyes get used to the darkness, you see a young boy holding a teddy bear against his chest. His face looks familiar. Deep green eyes and a white, chalk-like skin.
Oh, isn't that one of the kids from the orphanage? When I see the orphan, my warrior kneels down to his level. Remember, he said he was scared.
Your point being, well, you're a big dude.
In a metal suit.
Just a thought.
Well, I know what it's like to his family.
So, what do you tell him?
I know what it's like to lose family. That's deep.
Okay, I guess you're looking for the bad man? They went that way.
What?
He then points toward the forest.
Well, I mean, it is useful information, right? Who cares about your character's family? I guess he is a very result-oriented kid.
What do you mean?
He is saying the kid probably knows what KPIs are.
I'm not sure I'm following. Look, D&D is a game. Sure, but it can be very immersive, and a lot of players love to invest emotional energy in character moments. When those go unnoticed, even if in the moment it feels like moving the story forward is more important, they can feel ignored. And these micro moments of character development are where emotional investment lives or dies. But what if the solution to avoid this was actually quite easy?
I'm scared. Oh, an orphan. How do you know it's an
He is an orphan, a young boy, holding a teddy bear against his chest.
I kneel before him. Is this one of those deep character moments?
Dude, your character's name is Steve.
Just leave me alone.
I'm afraid he's got a point.
Steve's a common name, and whatever. I understand what it's like to lose family.
The child's eyes widen. He whispers, "You do? What happened to yours? My mama died when our house burned down."
Oh, fire.
What?
Oh, no, sorry. That wasn't roleplay.
Maybe do roleplay during your roleplay then?
Right. My little brother didn't make it through the plague.
Heavy stuff.
No, I mean it. This kid needs to know they're not alone.
So your warrior's got a soft spot.
Warriors can have feelings.
Steve has feelings too.
What?
Our noble warrior here, even though he struggled a bit, had one of these deep moments that make players love their characters so much, and felt truly seen as a creative contributor. The DM didn't have to do much, but these micro-recognitions build massive investment over time. When you notice and build on small character details, players learn that their creative input matters to the story. To make every player feel truly seen, I suggest that after each session, you write down one small character detail each player revealed, even involuntarily. It might be how they described an action, a short comment about their past, or a particular way they interacted with that random NPC they had you create on the spot. Within the next 2 sessions, you reference that detail in narration or NPC dialogue. Don't make a big deal of it, just weave it naturally into the world's response to their character. And then build something meaningful on that reference. Let it affect the story or world somehow. When character details become plot relevant, players stop feeling like actors following a script. Okay, cool, that was needed. Recognition is key. But have you noticed how sometimes the problem is not whether you're picking up on those emotional clues, but how the timing still feels off? By the way, I hear you. This is fine, but my players always seem to find a way to derail everything I prepare. Well, yeah, and that's exactly why I created the Plot Engineering Blueprint, a short guide that helps you create stories that easily adapt to player choices. Kinda like your story's survival kit, and you can grab it for free by clicking the link in the description.
So, if we charge in, we might save more prisoners?
Right, yeah, but also... Oh, yeah. You agree then?
What? I'm messing with him. I had no idea what he's saying.
Guys, clock's ticking.
I meant we could blow the whole operation. Isn't your character all about action though?
Well, yeah, but...
Intruders!
A guard spots you and calls for reinforcements as loud as possible. Roll for initiative.
We were kind of in the middle of something. Yeah, this is a new character. Knowing what my warrior would do is not immediate.
Sorry guys, but, you know, gotta keep the pace of the game up. Remember that agency problem we first discussed? If players feel like they're being hurried past decision points too much, it creates a similar effect, even if several actions were leading to different consequences. Pacing is important, sure, but there's an invisible rhythm to choice-making that most DMs accidentally break by pushing for action too quickly.
So, if we charge...
Yes?
We might save more prisoners.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Hold on. Having doubts about the plan?
Dude, it's such a masterful plan. You know eventually we'll just charge, right?
I was hoping that for once, well, my character would want to save everyone. But tactically, are warriors really about tactics? I thought it was just fluff to make you feel smart about taking the class.
They are. If you want them to.
You don't like warriors? I mean,
He loves them.
well, at least they're not rangers. Are you actually making progress here?
Yes. So, charge.
Charge. Okay, it's just the best way to save everyone.
All right. let's do this. Yeah, let's do this indeed.
When players feel rushed, they default to safe, obvious choices. When given time, they make the creative decisions that create better stories. And even if they just end up charging, their engagement will be stronger in the long run because respecting timing allows real character development to emerge during decision-making moments. To become better at this, when players start talking among themselves, do something very simple. Count to 10 before saying anything. This is their creative process happening in real time. Interrupting it too early can kill the magic. If they're still discussing after 10 seconds, ask, "What are you thinking?" instead of "What do you do?" Slight difference, I'll give you that. But this invites deeper consideration rather than demanding immediate action. And then only call for action when they naturally turn back to you or explicitly ask what happens next. Or, in extreme cases, like if they take 20 minutes to pick between the blue and red door. Point is, let them signal when they're ready to commit to their choice. This builds confidence in their decision-making process. Good! That's the fourth invisible mistake avoided. But this timing thing also reveals something unexpected about how player investment actually builds over sessions.
My warrior grew up on the streets. Like that kid. He knows how gangs recruit orphans. That's bleak. I mean, I might understand their operation.
Oh, right. Yeah, love your backstory, mate.
Great work. So, well, you can see 3 ways into the hideouts.
But what?
Well, if they're using kids as lookouts, forget it, man. Wouldn't my character recognize their signals?
What? Do you want to roll for it?
I'm not sure. He is saying that before meeting Steve, his character was living like those kids. I mean, do we need to roll for everything?
Well, it's a game. When players take time to develop ideas and those ideas don't add anything new to the game, you're probably involuntarily sending a message. Don't bother investing. Part of your job as the DM is to use the creativity of players as fuel to improve the collective experience. If that creativity is just fancy backdrop, even the mechanical aspects of the game will start feeling a bit off. And I actually think the solution is quite simple.
My warrior grew up on the streets, like that kid. Gangs were his past.
Easy on the sentences.
Oh, come on. Roleplaying is hard.
And you're only playing one character.
And it's not Steve.
You know what I mean. Right? Honestly, my warrior grew up on the streets. Like that kid.
You keep saying that. He knows how gangs recruit orphans.
Right. Sorry. Well, roll insight. With advantage. Your character might recognize if they're using kids as lookouts.
16.
Good.
Oh, thank goodness we're playing 5e.
He means that advantage is a fairly new thing, that it didn't exist back in D&D's 4th edition.
I was going to mention an actual edition, but sure.
Okay, so what do I know? I mean, my character. You spot 2 kids pretending to play near the well by the entrance.
I hope they're careful. Wells are dangerous for...
They're definitely watching for trouble.
So the obvious entrances are being monitored.
Are you there?
Well, I mean, is Steve... I believe so? Sorry. Go ahead. Can I signal them? Street kids might have a universal "I'm not a threat" sign.
Oh, yeah. There's this whistle you learned as a kid. Roll an athletics check, please.
Athletics?
I'm kidding. The children hear you, stop playing, and vanish, leaving the path open. When you take what the players created, in our example, as part of their background, and use it, players feel validated and essential, and it enriches the game for everyone. To secure player investment in your campaigns, after each session, pick one character goal or backstory element that hasn't been addressed recently. Keep a simple list of unresolved character threads to track what needs attention. Then design challenges that specifically require that element for success. Don't force it. Weave it naturally into obstacles that would logically connect to their background. And then, during play, use the show-don't-tell approach. Your players know their characters and backstories. If you plant a hook, they'll probably find it and jump on it. They'll feel validated, excited, and it will boost the energy at the table. Okay, cool, we avoided that fifth trap, and now we know how to use the characters to enrich the game for everyone. But even with the best intentions, there's still something that's very easy to get wrong, and it could ruin that investment fast. You enter the ancient library. The shelves stretch impossibly high, filled with mystical tomes. Okay, I'm looking for records about the cobblestone runners.
That was my character's old gang.
Right, so an old librarian with messy gray hair guides you towards a remote section of the library. Follow me,
You asked an NPC?
It's all here, my lord.
No.
You find extensive records on the cobblestone runners.
Really?
Apparently, they were secretly funded by the Shadow Council and used to smuggle magical artifacts through the sewers.
Wait, Gabriel's gang was part of the main plot.
I just made up that name. I figured. Didn't sound that great.
One word. Steve. Like Captain America.
Come on. As a matter of fact, yes, it is part of the plot. Okay, but this one old book explains how they were operating out of the old clock tower. And
So I don't get a say in this?
DMs be DMing.
I thought you'd be stoked about this.
Sure, you might think you're building on the characters' backstories, but if you're just using it as an excuse to force your story down the players' throats, they will notice. Players want to help create the story, not have the story be told at them. Every experience we've covered in this video feeds into this fundamental need for collaborative authorship. And the solution is surprisingly simple. You enter the ancient library. The shelves stretch impossibly high and are filled with mystical tomes.
Okay. I'm just looking for records about the
Shh. Is thinking.
Cobblestone Runners. That was my character's old gang. Solid name. Thanks.
Okay, great. So...
Yes?
Yeah, sorry. Just tell me, what kind of operation were the Cobblestone Runners known for?
Let me guess.
Maybe smuggling?
I was gonna say stealing, but smuggling has more of a Han Solo kind of vibe to it.
Huh.
Right, you always need more smuggling.
Exactly.
Oh, maybe they use the old storm drains.
You meet an old grayish librarian looking at you over her glasses. The Cobblestone Runners? Sorry, does not ring a bell.
Oh,
But then again, gang names.
right.
Oh, there was this one gang active a few years ago. I remember seeing an old ledger with information on goods transiting through sewers. Follow me.
Okay, and what was their relationship with the other gangs in the area?
They had rivals. The Dock Rats?
Perfect.
It's all here, my lord.
So, what does this old Excel sheet, book, say?
What you're reading here does not resemble what the runners were doing,
We're calling them the Runners now?
but their feud with the Dock Rats looked a lot like the breadcrumbs you're finding here. The gang you've been fighting over the last few weeks appears to be in conflict with another one, and they follow the same patterns.
Well, let's go. That's actually pretty cool.
The difference may seem subtle, because we're still connecting to the main plot. But here, the players became true collaborators in world building. Before, they were discovering predetermined details you wrote and then tried to glue to the characters' backstories. Now, you're asking them to create details that fit their characters, and then you're building plot significance around their contributions. Again, it's subtle, but it makes all the difference. So here's how you operate that small change. When describing a new location, try stopping mid-description and ask a player to fill in one specific detail. Like, Gabriel, what catches your warrior's attention in this room? Use your understanding of your specific players to word it in a way that will encourage them to contribute meaningfully to the game. It gives them creative ownership without overwhelming choice. Then take their detail and immediately build on it by asking another player how it affects the scene. Paul, how does that battle manual discovery make your character feel? This helps create collaborative momentum. And then let their combined input change what happens next in ways you hadn't necessarily planned. Their creative contributions should actually alter your prepared content, not just flavor it. This proves their collaboration has real impact, and we're not just back to that first agency trap again. Good. We're almost there now, and we avoided that 6th trap. But there's one final mistake that could still wreck everything we've been building so far. And the problem is, avoiding all these traps takes a lot of energy, which makes falling into the last one way too easy. Wait. Yeah. Are you guys planning on eventually forming sentences? Isn't this the gang leader from the last 10 sessions? You mean Beryl? Yeah. No. It can be. Yeah, that's him. Wait. The one we tied up and turned over to the guards. That's Beryl. Yeah, that's him. Is the guy we tied up Beryl, or is this dude in front of us now Beryl? Both. You've got to be kidding me. I'm not following. Just... How? Well, he had connections. The sheriff, corrupt sheriff, let him go. And his gang regrouped quickly. But we spent half the campaign dismantling his network. And convinced half their members to leave. Yeah, but desperate people need work, so new people joined up. Unemployment. Yeah, the gang's still plenty strong. This is the final piece we've been missing so far. That final trap that you can fall into, even if you avoided all the other mistakes. Agency, safety, recognition, respect, security, collaboration, they don't amount to much if players feel that their actions don't have lasting consequences. Here, the players might have followed their own path and made choices, and the DM might have respected them. But if they don't leave their mark on the world, it's all for nothing. Good news is, once again, the fix is simple. Wait. I'd love to get in on it, guys. That's Beryl. I'd recognize his DM anywhere. Beryl. You mean gang leader Beryl, whose operation you dismantled Beryl? Is that him? I'm telling you, man. Are you crazy? Sounds a lot like him. He's right. Why do I even bother voice acting? Acting? Well, what? It's good, but who is it then? Lowering his voice to avoid being heard, your informant tells you that's Beryl's old lieutenant and rival. He's trying to rebuild, but look at his body language. They're desperate and sloppy now. Half their safe houses are compromised because you broke their network. Okay. So they're copying his style, but doing it badly. Badly? Because we took out the original leadership. Yes, that's would have been Beryl. Good old Beryl. The orphan you helped will probably be able to tell you more. He's been watching them closely. Cool. Intel. From inside. Let's finish those guys off. This is much better. The actions of the players have lasting consequences, and you're using those consequences to build the next arc of your campaign. Now, you see the complete invisible conversation happening at the table. Players are constantly asking, do my choices actually matter to this story? Every technique we've covered helps answering yes to that question at different key moments of the game. So to create meaningful stakes that feel earned, first, keep track of unpaid choices. After each session, write down one major player decision that hasn't had consequences yet. When you need a plot twist later, just pull from this list. They spared the gang leader becomes ammunition for future consequences. Then, when you use one of these choices, I suggest you use a 3-layer approach. In our example, the player's decision to spare the gang leader affects things at 3 levels. Personal, how the old gang leader now views them. Local, how other gangs react to their mercy. And ripple, what this means for the larger criminal underworld. This gives you multiple ways to make their past choice matter right now and can lead to countless less of the stories, depending on how your players then react. And then always end these consequences by creating a new potential choice that goes back into your notes. In our example, it could be because the character spared the gang leader and he's now reformed, their rivals see them as weak. Will they prove their strength or lean into diplomacy? You never ask the player straight away, but you use it to build situations where it will naturally emerge. This new decision becomes tomorrow's consequence ammunition, and you keep the cycle spinning. But here's what I find interesting. You now know what players wish you knew all along, and can prepare and DM in a way that keeps the players excited. But it still might not be enough. Think about it. Where are all these stories taking place? Surely the more prep, the more details, the more intricate the world, the better, right? Well, no. What if I told you that cramming your world full of details can actually kill immersion? So click on this video next to discover why most D&D worlds feel empty and how to fix it.